Hi everyone, welcome back to Flight School. My name is Micah. I'll be your instructor today. Do not use anything I say or do in this video in real-world aircraft as it may hurt yourself or someone else. Today we're going to be talking about VOR navigation. Now VOR navigation basically means VHF, or very high frequency omnidirectional radio range. So in layman's term, basically it's a point on the ground that gives you a direction to that point. You can imagine it as a spoke, like spokes on a wheel. That's oftentimes used to explain it. Just like your compass has different degrees, you use different degrees to go into the location. It basically allows you to navigate without a GPS, or it's a little bit more advanced than compass and map. But a compass and map is actually kind of necessary to kind of figure out how you're going to get to that VOR, and we'll cover that in just a second. First off, I want to show you guys how to identify a VOR. So VORs are basically, like I said, low radio beacons. A lot of times they're associated with the airports themselves. A lot of times VORs will be on airports themselves. But if you look at these are your VORs. So these are different points that are set on the map that are basically radio beacons that allow you to go to those points. So like you'll see there's one that's Greenwood here. This is Columbia, Collars, Florence, and each one of those has a radio frequency, as you can see here. And this one right here, which is the one we're going to be using today to demonstrate, is Columbia's VOR, and it's sitting obviously in Columbia, right? Let's see Columbia Metro there. We're going to be at Cub, so J-Cub, or K-Cub, Jim Hamilton, L.B. Owens. And we're going to be flying to this VOR just as a practice. Now, a lot of times you would use VORs to navigate to other airports or to get to other locations. So what it gives you is these awesome little tools here, basically little highways almost, saying, okay, from this VOR point, if you shoot a quote-unquote azimuth, so if you shoot a direction on your compass of 263, you're going to go straight to this other VOR. And I'll get into how you're going to put that into your actual aircraft to allow you to fly that. But to get to a VOR in the first place, you kind of have to do a little bit of guesstimating, or you can actually, if this was an actual map, I could actually bring out a compass and a protractor basically and actually shoot what is my azimuth going to be from the location I'm at. Now I'm currently here, so I don't know exactly what my direction will be to here, but I do know that it's going to be at least more than 180, as you can see here, more than 180, but less than 270. And it's definitely going to be way less than 270. And if I look here, you'll see this J75 basically goes through this VOR point, and it already gives me the degrees. So if I shoot at 205 from my airport, it's basically going to get me to this VOR. And you'll see that in play once I get into the actual aircraft itself. But I want you to recognize that these little things, these are your VOR points. This is what you would use to navigate to these points. I just wanted to show you guys that so you understood and you weren't just guessing, okay, how do I figure out where a VOR is? All right, so let's bring up our game. All right, so now we're simulator, sorry. I know people get frustrated when it's called a game. So we're currently sitting at K-Cub, already lined up for the runway. We got plenty of fuel for this demonstration, and even more than this demonstration. I already have the radio frequency programmed in, like I said, 114.70. Now, remember, I was going to shoot about 205, and that should get me to about to the VOR point. So what I'm going to do here, this is my GPS. I'm just setting it. I think that's good enough. So I can. So I'll show you, and it even shows up on here at the VOR point. All right. So I'm going to set it to 205. Now to do that, I'm already okay. I'm going to step back. Let me show you how to change the frequency, because that can be confusing. So to change your frequency for your VLOC, right, which is that right there. Let me see. I think I have it programmed. Yeah, there we go. Okay, to change your VLOC, down here you'll see com/vlock. It says push C/V. You push it, changes where you're actually selecting to change your radio frequency or your VLOC. VLOC's your VOR basically, or ILS, and we'll get into that in a couple soon. No, I don't know if it's the next video, the video after that. So you're going to select it down to the VLOC so it shows up. Then you're going to adjust it just like you would anything else. 114.70. Yeah, and the big one changes the big numbers, and the little one changes the little numbers, as you can see. Now, to activate that, you hit this button right here, this V up and down. Now, let me change one of these so you can see it changing. See how it changes? And notice that that went away. We're going to get into that in just a second, but notice how it changed, and the lock information changes. It shows us we're on a radial 028. This is nice when you have a GPS system like this because it gives you this information, but if you're on an older aircraft that doesn't have a GPS, then you're actually not going to get that, and that's why I was showing you how to do it on a paper map. So if you took 028, what's the 180 degrees? What's 180 plus 028? That'd be what? That'd be 208, right? Which is really close to 205, which is what I was showing you guys. So it's picking up us on radial 028. Just like I said, spokes of a wheel, right? There's so 360 spokes, and it's picking us up saying, hey, coming from the VOR point, you're on a radial of 028. But we're going to it, so we have to add 180. If it's past 180 on your compass, then you're actually going to subtract 180. Anyway, so once you get your VLOC set, and we have it set to 114.70, we're going to go over to this right here. This is basically your radio dial. I can't remember the exact, I'm trying to remember the exact nomenclature, but it doesn't come to mind. What we're going to do is we're going to set the radial that we're heading to. Now I know it says radial 028, but like I said, that's coming from the VOR point. We're going to it. So to change that, we're going to use this right here, and we're going to change it to 205. Like I'm doing it as if I don't have this fancy gear on the left, on the right. Sorry, this right here. So notice how it's already, shifting back towards center. That's 21, so 205, right about there, I think. Nope. Right there. That's 205. Okay. So now we have that set. We're going to get back to here. Now this little line is basically going to teach you, or not teach you, but show you where you are in relation to that radial, that imaginary line heading to that VOR point. Right now it's showing that we're a little off to the left, which means the radial, the imaginary radio beacon line is off to our right. Now when we get into the air, you'll see that we're actually a little further off than that, but you'll see that in just a second. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go ahead and take off here from K-Cub. Trying to keep it center lined. I tell you what, this is probably the hardest part for me in regards to flying a Cessna, is that initial takeoff point. And we're going to take off here, rotating up, climbing for 75. Climbing for 75, there we go. We're going to get to about 1,000 feet. We'll get straight and level, and then I will show you guys how to get onto that radial and how to navigate to that VOR point. Alright, throttle for altitude, pitch for airspeed. We're getting close to that 1,000-foot mark. Alright. I'll start leveling out here at 1,000 feet. Just babying that throttle, trying to get us straight and level here. Using the trim a little bit, try to get us nice and level. All right, so we're going to go ahead and make a turn to the left now because we actually passed the radial. Now we want to be heading about 205 on our compass to intercept that radial. So we're just turning. Nice 2-minute turn, no reason to rush anything. Important part of flying an aircraft, you don't have to be anywhere. Keep that in mind, guys. You never have to be anywhere. It's a concept of removing the concept of, oh my gosh, I gotta make it, because sometimes that can actually kill you. All right. And we're about right there at 205. Okay, now you notice it's saying, hey, your radial is still off to the left. Okay, so if it's still off to the left, then I'm going to go ahead and make a little bit more of a turn here to try to intercept that radial. It's turning left. I'm not going to go too far off the 205 though, because I don't want to have to make any sudden changes in my direction. So I'm just going to level off here at about 180, and we'll intercept that radial very soon. Still flying. And if you look here, you actually see it on the GPS map, that CAE, Charlie Alpha Echo, that is the VOR point, and when we fly over it, you'll see that. Still flying. Now when we get close to that radial, you'll see this line right here start swinging to the right, and that's what we want. We want it to be straight down the center. That's what we're looking for. Notice it's starting to swing. So we're gonna, when it gets close to that center, we're gonna go ahead and make our turn to the right to line us up with that radial of 205. And we're going to start turning now, ever so slightly, trying to get that perfect lineup. And as we get closer to the point, we're actually going to have to make some small adjustments, and that's natural because the difference between the radials gets smaller and smaller as the closer you get. Boom. On the radial right there. So we're just flying straight and level, heading towards the VOR point. It's a little off to our right, so we'll just make minor adjustments, guys. Very small adjustments. And this is basically how you navigate using VOR. Now, as we're flying here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring up the map again. Now notice we're flying here, right? So let's say we're going to go over to collars 113.9 and 263. So we're going to go back. So if I switch to, oops, 113.9, right? So I set that so that, I'm off my radial. And it's about a 263 is what it wanted, so get back on my radio here. And remember, you know, notice how the closer we get, the crazier that radio gets. It's saying, oh, you're way off, way off. And why is that? Because, watch, as I go outside the aircraft, see if I can actually see the radio all around here. There it is right there. There's your VOR point. See? Navigated to a point on the map using just that radio beacon. Now, let's say we want to continue. And we want to go to the next one. Alright, so if we go and switch that beacon, and we're at 263. So 250, 26, 263. Alright, so we turn, it's off to our right a little bit, so we're going to turn to our right. Let's turn a little bit more so we can get up on that radial. And we're just waiting. And remember, this is just using radio beacons, using our radios to navigate across the face of the Earth. That's all we're using. We're not using our GPS. We're not even really looking outside the aircraft, honestly. Just using very high frequency omnidirectional radio range, VORs. That's all we're using, guys, to navigate across the place, across the world. There's actually about 3,000 VOR points across the world, so you can use, from general aviation, even airliners can use them. They're set up to use them as well, but those are pretty much going, extinct, because you think about it, why would you use a VOR if you could use a GPS, right? So as we're getting close, we're going to start moving ourselves over to that 263 radial. And once we get lined up, we'll be heading to the next point on our trip. And this kind of, movements to, direct from point to point, even though it's old, it's good to know, because what if your GPS system goes out? What if you lose your GPS antenna or something crazy like that? What do you do then? Well, you still have to get somewhere, right? Yeah, of course, you could use, air traffic control. They could direct you to wherever you need to go. But what if you're just flying VFR and your GPS goes out? Well, you can always bring up that map, find that VOR point of the airport you're trying to go to, put that information into your system, and boom, voila. Now you can navigate without a GPS. Almost on that radial now. And the reason it's taken so long to get on that radial is because we're so close to it, and we were so close to it in the first place. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much VOR right there. That is VOR navigation. It's pretty simple, and obviously you need to get up into the aircraft, fly a few times, play around with it, get used to it, get familiar with it, understand what it looks like on a map, how to find it. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I appreciate you guys watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel, and you'll see more videos like this. Next time, we'll be tackling either emergency procedures or ILS. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.